Testing. Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. We express our praise and gratitude to Allah Ta'ala, and we seek blessings upon the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So we're beginning with Ayah 178 today of Al-Baqarah. But just to recap very briefly, if we look at the big topics we've looked at, in the first class we spoke about looking at everything in the world around us as ayat of Allah. That was the first big topic. That in the sky, in the earth, in the night and the day, in the ships that run, everything there are ayat of Allah. Okay. So then the next big topic was anything that you're taking in, okay, control what you're taking in, do not follow what shaitan is giving you. Okay. So first we're saying look at everything as signs of Allah. Second, everything that's going in, however, should only be signs of Allah. Okay. Do not bring any haram inside. Okay. From there, we made it more specific. We spoke about food. That make sure that the food that you take in is halal food, halal and tayyib. And we said only 4 things are forbidden. So the first big topic, look at everything as signs of Allah. Second big topic, whatever you're taking in now, make sure it's only halal and beneficial for you, including food. And then from there, we spoke about what is righteousness, meaning what is good character. So again, look at step by step. First, I see everything as signs of Allah. Second, I'm very cautious and concerned about what I'm taking in. And third, now I'm looking at good character. What are my obligations to other people? Okay. So now today, we're looking at my obligations to other people a step further. Now we're talking about justice. Okay. So look at this evolution. First, you see everything as signs of Allah. Second, you're controlling what goes in. And then this should lead to good character. And then from good character, it should lead to justice. So what are we saying here in society? That if the people in society do not have good character, you're not going to have justice in society. That if you want to have justice in society, people have to have good character. So at the individual level, it's good character. At the collective level, it is justice. Okay. So we have a couple terms for justice in the Quran. One is adl, and one is qist. Adl and qist. Adl usually we often use more often these days. And so what is the idea of adl? Adl is balance. Okay. Balance 2 ways. One way, balance in the sense that, okay, as we're going to see today, a crime is committed, the proper punishment is given. That's one way of balance. Okay. Another way of balance is that if you work harder than the second person, that you should earn more than the second person, right? You get what you earn. This is also part of American psychology. American psychology is that society should be what we call meritocracy, that the person with the most merit gets the most success. The person who works the hardest gets the most success. The person with the best character gets the most success. That's also part of the American outlook. So this is adl. Okay. When we speak of qist, we're also speaking of putting everything in its proper place. That injustice is when things are all messed up. Justice is when everything is in its proper place. So, what is the evolution? You're starting by looking at the world around you as ayat of Allah, and then you're consuming only halal, and then this should lead to character, and then society, it should lead to justice. So the question that I raised at the end of the last discussion was, do you support the death penalty? Okay. Meaning in 2013, in Chicago or in Illinois or in America, should we as Muslims support the death penalty? And not all the same people are here, so let's have a vote once again and then we can discuss. Who says yes, we should support the death penalty? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, who says no? You say no? 2 people say no. Okay, so it's not a democracy. So those of you who say yes, we should support the death penalty, why? Anyone? Okay, so one argument is because this is what Allah Ta'ala says right here. Okay, and we're going to go through this ayah piece by piece. Okay, any other reason why should we support the death penalty? Meaning, suppose there's a vote right now in Illinois. Should we support the death penalty? Other reasons why we should.
So broad sense.
Meaning?
that person, let's say, is not put to death, he is somewhere prison life or whatever terms, is burdened to the society. He believes someday maybe he will come back with us, maybe with the same thing. And it's a justice. A lot of, I mean, the way I look at, if something happens to the personally to that individual, their reaction, which is a natural, it's the nature, the need, that okay, if he slapped me, I like to slap him.
Yeah, sure.
If he kills somebody, I like to kill him. Even if he say I will kill you. So that's a very natural way of justice. And the other things.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So you made two big points. One big point is that if we don't do death penalty, then this person, the murderer, convicted murderer, will be a burden to society. And suppose we even let him go, then he might commit another murder. And the other is you're saying this is also the natural way. Okay. And your thoughts for why we should support the death penalty? Any other reasons?
The other criminal also will be incentive.
Okay.
If there is no death penalty,
Okay.
the other criminal will get.
Okay, so if there's no death penalty, then it becomes easier for other people to kill because there's no fear. So it almost becomes incentive. Okay. Any other reasons why should we support the death penalty? Anyone else? Anyone else want to jump in? Okay, two people opposed. Why should we oppose the death penalty? Eva?
I think it's not enough punishment.
Okay.
If somebody tortures somebody, kills somebody, or somebody,
Okay.
it's the best way to punish them to keep them alive.
Okay. So you're saying that death is not enough of a punishment.
I don't know where he went.
Okay. Okay.
But if he alive, we need to realize that he did mistake.
Okay. So we keep them alive. That's a better punishment. Okay. Hey, Moise, why did you vote against the death penalty? Do you have the board of MEC here who is also paying attention to what you're saying?
I oppose the death penalty more in a contemporary sense.
Okay, what does that mean?
I heard some of the arguments more relating to the chronic sense, but I feel in the contemporary sense why I advocate against it is one, it contributes to the more to society in general, where this country we're more incarcerary.
Which means what? That's a big word.
Throw people in jail.
Okay.
Throw people in jail whenever we have problems.
Okay.
We immediately discard people when we feel it's appropriate. That's why there's a very high rate of, people who've been put to death who've come back now with more evidence indicating that they were never part of the crime or they weren't involved.
Okay, so you're saying, one problem with the death penalty is that we're convicting people who are not guilty.
It's very reactionary, convicting people that aren't guilty. It doesn't, and once again, like the toughest thing to kind of reconcile is you're not, inshallah, you hope you're never in the position of the person on the other side, like a family member of someone who's slain, because you don't know how to feel then. But for me personally, when I think of the death penalty, I think it one, as the sister just mentioned, it's a quick end.
Okay.
Two, it doesn't give time for potentially figuring out different facts, figuring out different evidence. Thirdly, to me, it doesn't overall mesh with the idea where we try to reconcile and we try to rehabilitate society.
Okay, so you're saying we should not focus on punishment.
Yeah.
We should focus on fixing the person.
And the thing is, I can't speak with truth because I'm not on the opposite side.
Which means what?
Someone who loses a family member, potentially.
Okay.
If we say, like, an example of someone who's been murdered, I don't know what my reaction would be if that happened to someone in my family.
Okay, so let's say hypothetically, a'udhu billah, let's say someone kills your niece.
Yeah.
And you're saying, leave them alone.
I mean, obviously, putting them in jail would be important, but you think of the other systems in the world, like the Finnish prospect of justice, like in Finland, it's a rehabilitation of the person.
Okay.
They're never truly put back into society.
Okay.
But they're not basically sent to death, or nor are they put to wasting away.
Okay. So what do?
And they're studied why the circumstances led to them murdering a person. It also is a reflection on society. What put the burden on this person to want to commit murder?
Okay.
What occurred? It's never as black and white as people want to think. Like, he is a criminal, he's 100% bad, that's why he murdered.
Okay.
There are circumstances like those, and in that situation, yes, but I mean, even then, when do you get to that point?
Okay.
I'm not asking for like the lax liberal perspective where it's like, well, no, he might be criminally insane. We should put the person there. But if you think of the death penalty here, especially in Texas, I think the number is somewhere around 20-25% of people were below the level of like IQ. The people who were killed were really in a state of like mental disability.
Okay.
When they committed their crimes.
So you're saying, okay, so if someone is mentally ill, then we can't treat them like a normal, sane person.
Yeah.
So you're saying definitely we can't do death penalty there.
Yeah.
Okay. And your thoughts, response?
I don't think that they give death penalty to mentally ill.
Yeah.
First of all, if you are proven mentally ill,
Okay.
then death penalty is often used.
Okay.
The other thing is, why should we pay or keep them, in life imprisonment is a burden on taxpayers.
Okay.
It's like a waste, in my opinion, it's also a waste of money.
Okay.
Why should we pay for somebody who, if proven guilty after all the process, that's when we are talking about, and here also death penalty, I think takes 10-15 years before
Sure.
it's not like a quick
Okay.
kind of sentence.
Okay. So you're saying it's good that it takes a long time.
Yes.
Okay. But we're wasting our money if he's convicted. Okay.
No, life imprisonment.
Okay. Okay. Is a waste of money, a waste of taxpayer money. Okay.
Well, I mean, this is the wisdom of Allah.
Okay.
First of all,
Okay.
there's no argument. And many studies and this and that has been done in the Western culture.
Okay.
And anything what Allah has prohibited,
Gee.
and in Western culture we they don't abide. Even us, Muslims, not abiding. Then look what is happening.
Okay.
I mean, like now, this woman who in the military, there was just a statistic.
Mm-hmm.
There was, my God, I mean,
So like 90% assaults or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, almost.
Yeah.
It's not reported, many of them.
Yeah.
Still they are saying very, very high rate. Every 25,000 cases every year.
Smell it. Yeah.
And look, if it's not majority of the women there,
Okay.
they're very little percentage.
Okay.
So, coming back to murder, of course, there is exception always, but these rules are not just made just like that. Somebody did and then they put it there.
Okay.
There's a whole process.
Okay.
Like your brother said, no, it was insane and this and that. Of course,
Okay.
there's always, Islamic law
Okay.
supports that if such person does in that,
Sure.
it's proven that he's really, then that doesn't apply.
Okay.
But if it is proven that
Okay.
it is all willed and everything is done, then punishment.
Okay. So you're saying, yeah, if you go through all the process and everything, then there's wisdom here in death penalty.
Many other, it's not coming in our mind, but major thing I would say definitely is a burden, and even sometimes they are released. Just as small as like this lady who was convicted, that license was taken away, driving privileges, and then after whatever period, she got her license back. Even she had not even got her back yet, but she was celebrating first day, and again drinking and this thing she got. It was yesterday.
Oh, really? Okay.
She got caught drinking, and she was totally.
Okay, so if the punishment is not severe, people will keep committing the crime, just like this point. Okay. Okay. And your thoughts? Should we oppose death penalty? Yes, sir. Aziz.
So with respect to death penalty in Islam, my understanding was that it's up to the family who is wrong that actually makes the decision whether the person should be the death penalty. I feel that that's more of a balanced approach,
Okay.
given that those are the people who have been hurt.
Yeah.
They're the primary focus. And so it shouldn't be a decision that should be made out by somebody who hasn't personally been affected.
Okay. So if we're doing death penalty, then it has to be by the family members to decide, like the Islamic way.
That's more
Okay.
of a balanced approach.
Okay.
That
Okay.
way, they are making the personal choice whether death penalty is right for them.
Okay.
Or they can live with this forgiveness.
Okay. Then let me ask you a different question. Quran says, for thieves, what do? Should we also support this?
Yes.
Yeah?
In Islamic society, you are fulfilling all the other
Okay.
If
Okay.
you're not, like, for example, in Pakistan, we do have Sharia law
Okay.
and all that, but it's such a corrupt society and there's so much difference between the haves and have-nots that
Okay.
it's very hard to implement
Okay.
that particular.
Okay. So you're saying if in a society everything is not being provided, those basic things are not being provided, we should not cut off hands. But we should still do death penalty.
That's debatable.
Okay? Okay.
That's the reality of the situation, though.
Okay.
I mean, like, I get this a lot at home when I have this
Death
discussion
penalty.
with my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very much, in an Islamic society, this would never fly. Their idea and the idea that certain people float about in a Islamic society is no different than someone who says, in a perfect world.
Okay.
If that was the case, in a perfect world, you wouldn't have crimes then. If you
Okay.
talk like, well, in an exact Islamic society, if everybody's abiding by Islamic law, no one will be stealing.
Okay.
No one will need the death penalty.
Okay.
But that's not the circumstances. If you
Okay.
talk about a situation like Pakistan, like we just discussed,
Yeah.
where, I mean, you have a big difference between those who have and those who don't.
Okay.
So the smartest thing is to continually keep the poor population down, cut off their hand, do something
Okay.
similar to this. He stole bread. Why did he steal bread? He had nothing to eat. That's why he stole bread.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, these circumstances, the thing is, when I spoke about the death penalty a few minutes ago, you prefaced the question saying, in Illinois right now.
I'm talking about Chicago, Illinois, America right now.
Not an Islamic,
Okay.
not an Islamic society right now.
Okay.
Not governed by Islamic society. In the contemporary sense as well. And, we spoke about right now, just a second ago, about the family. We recently had Troy Davis, which was a massive situation last year, put to death. The family wanted Troy Davis put to death. The entire
Which family? Which family?
The family of the officer that was murdered.
So,
But
okay.
there
So
is-
give the whole story. What's the story?
Well, Troy Davis was basically put on trial for a murder of an officer, but essentially in the last year or two, enough evidence has come up to say that there is a lot of questionableness of the evidence, of the jury, of everyone involved.
So he's convicted, but
Right.
now
Never got a state of
there's a
execution.
question of,
Right.
of whether or not he's really guilty.
And up until the end, you had essentially the ACLU, NAACP, numerous people basically lobbying for Troy Davis, saying this evidence requires a stay of execution, meaning that he should not be executed. The court case needs to be opened up again. Didn't happen. Unfortunately, he was executed. The family, till this day, is adamant that Troy Davis committed the murder, when in reality, all this evidence shapes to, and I promise, maybe, or I can't promise this, but in 3 to 4 years, we'll find this out that, yeah, he didn't commit the crime.
Okay.
Like similar situation with Narshawn Noel 5 years ago in North Carolina.
What's the story?
That's another case. Similar situation, evidence comes forward, now it's saying that he should have never been convicted. They found the other guy's in jail.
Okay. So what happened to this guy?
Executed.
He was executed, but you're saying they found the actual killer
They found
later
the
on.
actual killer, and he's in jail. And the family, till this day, of the security guard who was murdered, claims that Narshawn Noel did it. He committed the crime. He should have been put to death. They got the
Okay.
right guy.
Okay.
And they're lobbying furthermore for the guy that evidence, videotapes, DNA has in jail right now.
Okay.
So I mean, when we talk in this society and when we talk about our lofty expectations of an Islamic world,
Yeah.
we're not even thinking of a similar society.
Okay.
We don't apply our Islamic law to this city because we don't picture it saying that, well, in a perfect Islamic world.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect Islamic world, Rahm Emanuel wouldn't be running this country, so on.
Okay.
And the taxpayer argument is another one because when you think about all the resources we don't pay for, if we did, and I'm obviously just 25 and haven't been paying taxes forever, but if you think about like the disparity in public education and stuff like that, I'd love to pay for that. If as a taxpayer I can save an innocent man and it goes into the prison system, I would too.
Okay.
I'm okay with paying those taxes.
Okay, so you're saying you're fine with paying for somebody to be alive for the rest of their life, a convicted murderer or something?
Even in this situation, in this society, especially with the high incarceration rate of minorities, even if you could save one person, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your thoughts? What do you think?
Well, I would argue
Aziz.
that the law will never be perfect.
Okay.
I mean, in terms of convicting someone, there will always be error.
Okay.
And if we're always going to judge all the laws based off of the potential of error, then we're never going to have anything like any punishment for any laws.
Okay.
Right, but we have to separate the ideology of...
Is your point finished?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We have to separate the ideology of one, punishing someone, as opposed to justice. Those are two completely different concepts.
Okay.
We assume that if we have these laws that we put someone in jail, justice has been served. Hasn't yet, because there are plenty of people out there where justice hasn't been applied to, yet punishment has been applied to.
Okay.
You know, that's the logic where I get a little troublesome, because yes, the laws are obviously, you know, they're obviously not perfect, and there's always room for error and everything. But the thing is, are we rushing to punish people, or are we rushing to find justice? And I feel, when you weigh the opinion, it's more for punishing. It's that I feel safer at night, as some people take this personality, that if this man is put in jail, I feel safer at night. And that's not the perspective I want to carry.
Okay, so you're saying that that if we focus on punishing people, that's a problem, right?
Yeah, and as opposed to actually finding justice. And remember, the thing about punishment, it's stuck to that one realm. It's punishment. As justice, it evolves to social justice. It evolves to justice not only in our courts, but in our homes. It's a different concept.
Okay.
I feel this religion brings justice, not punishment. And I feel when we allow ourselves to align the concepts of cutting people's hands off, or we allow ourselves to align to pushing or even advocating for the death penalty, we're serving more of the punishment side rather than the justice, because we don't understand the nitty-gritty that goes in between getting to someone at their execution or someone into the jail system.
Okay.
I mean, it blows my mind when I studying social work, the school-to-prison pipeline. How many kids who end up dropping out of school end up in prison? I mean, there's a social ill with that category more opposed to that these people are punished.
So you're saying that there are some already very big problems in our society, right? Yeah. That those have to be fixed first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So then is it possible that if we fix these problems that you would support death penalty?
I think once you start seeing solutions to these problems, you'll start seeing that there's different solutions. Once you start seeing these problems addressed, you'll start seeing different solutions appear.
Okay, but the Quran still says death penalty.
It does.
Okay. So when would we apply death penalty then?
That's something I'd like to study more.
Okay,
I'm being perfectly honest.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't give you that answer.
Okay.
It's not black and white to me.
Okay. So part of the outlook here is that the punishments that we have in Deen are very, very severe punishments, right? Cutting off hands, taking a life. But what's understood is that some things have to be fixed in society, right? Society has to be a healthy society. So, for example, in the case of stealing, we have the example of Omer, may Allah be pleased with him. He is the Khalifa, and the community was hit by a famine. Okay, no food, no water, right? And so people were stealing just to have food. And so then Omer said, we're putting the punishment on hold. Okay, and he tells everyone, you're not allowed to steal. Okay, but because we're supposed to provide for you, and we're not, we can't punish you right now. Okay. So the point is, what is the understanding that's taken from this? That society has to be a full, healthy society. People's basic needs must be fulfilled. So if my basic needs are being fulfilled, and then I steal, that's a problem. Okay. So if my basic needs are being fulfilled, and psychologically society is healthy, and then I kill, that's a very serious problem. Okay. But our society, our American society, I think it's easy to point out that there's a lot of problems in our society here. That, sure, I live a suburban life, things are very comfortable, things are very easy, mashallah, alhamdulillah. But if you look at the whole of American society, for a lot of people in the society, this is a very, very difficult, very hostile society. It's also very hostile psychologically. Like, this is a very hostile society. So the point I'm making is that there is a time and a place for death penalty, but for Chicago 2013, I would say I'd probably not support it, right? The other side of the argument is some people say that if you start implementing this, then automatically things will get fixed. I don't think that's the case. So, you know, you've heard of Tariq Ramadan. Tariq Ramadan, a scholar who lives in England, right? Egyptian scholar lives in England. He called on all the Muslim governments across the country, across the world, you have to stop death penalty. You can't do it anymore, or temporarily at least. And he says because the goals of death penalty are not being fulfilled. Okay? The goal of death penalty is to stop killing. Okay? But he says that's not happening. We do death penalty in every single country, people are still killing. So something's wrong. Another problem is that it's not being done fairly. So this is sort of the point that Moise is making, that in America, if you're a minority, more likely you're going to get death penalty than if you're white. Okay. Statistically, if you're African American, or you're white and you're both convicted of murder, the African American will get death penalty 6 times as much more likely than the white guy, right? But he's saying in Muslim countries you have the same problem. Okay, so he's saying we have to put death penalty on hold. It's hukum from Allah. It's a rule from Allah, but we have to fix some other things first. Okay, but now let's look at this in more detail. So, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. So this is being addressed to us. O you who believe. O you who believe that you believe. Kutiba alaykumul qisas fil qatla. So kutiba means written. Okay, kutiba alaykum, written for you, prescribed for you. Okay, so this is what Allah has dictated for you. Al-qisas fil qatla, meaning retaliation when there's killing taking place. Okay. Now, what was taking place at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him? A few things. One is that at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in terms of the Jews of Medina, Banu Qurayza, Banu Nadir, Banu Qaynuqa, their experience was that if one of their people were killed, they would have an agreement that, okay, if you kill one of ours, then you also have to pay us some dates. Okay. Or if you kill one of ours, then we have to kill one of yours. Okay. What was the practice among the Quraysh and the Mushriks? The Mushriks was, if you kill one of ours, we're going to kill one of yours. And then the response is, well, you just killed one of ours, we're going to kill one of yours. So it just became killing back and forth. Okay. So here, one of the functions is to now make it stable. Okay. Meaning, the problem in the Jewish tribes was they weren't doing it properly. The problem among the mushriks was they were just killing and killing. If you kill one of us, we're going to kill one of yours. Well, you just kill one of ours, we're going to kill one back, and they're going to keep going back and forth. So, al-hurru bil-hurri, so the free man for the free man, so hurriya is freedom. Wal-abdu bil-abdi, the slave for the slave. Wal-untha bil-unthi, so the female for the female. Hey, what do you think, Dr. Azra? Females mentioned last. Sure. No, I'm teasing you right now. Okay.
Look at it as a list that
Okay.
it's last and it's females are last.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. فَمَنْ أُوفِيَ لَهُ, and by him who is forgiven, min akhihi, by the brother, shay'un fattiba'u bil ma'ruf. Okay. And so it should be essentially followed with uprightness. وَأَدَاءُ إِلَيْهِ بِالْإِحْسَانِ, and he should give diya, or he should give essentially blood money properly, or with kindness. Okay, ذَلِكَ تَخْفِيفٌ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ. So this is from your Lord to make things easy, or to make things light. وَرَحْمَةٌ, and to give mercy. فَمَنْ اعْتَدَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ فَلَهُ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, and whoever crosses boundaries after this, he will have a painful doom. So, putting this all in order, I think all of you already know this anyway, but the law of the Torah, you have to kill. Okay? Meaning, you have to kill the killer. The law of Jesus and Christianity, peace be upon him, is what? You have to forgive. Okay? The Islamic law is a combination of the two. Okay? That if there's a murder, okay, the prescription is life for life, but the family can decide to forgive instead. Okay? And forgiveness is better. Okay? But if you forgive, then what do you have to do? The murderer has to give you blood money. Okay? Have you seen this movie, A Separation, Iranian movie? This is a good movie, very, very intense movie. It's about 2 years old. And part of the story is that a woman, she's pregnant, and the baby is killed. Like, the woman falls down the stairs, and so now the mother is demanding that the man who pushed her down the stairs has to give blood money, or he has to go to jail and serve. But in any case, so what is the Islamic prescription? The Islamic prescription is life for life or forgiveness. And if you give forgiveness, then you have to pay blood money. Okay. But what is also understood that's not said in this ayah is that some things in society have to already be in place. So what are the basic things that you have to have in society? Okay. There are essentially 4 things that you have to have. Okay. Number 1, shelter and sustenance. Okay. Number 2, freedom of trade and travel. Number 3, security from fear. And number 4, protection of religious practices. So number 1, shelter and sustenance. That everyone in society, they should have easy access to food, healthy food, and easy access to a home. Okay. So in one society, it means society is providing. In another society, it means that it's cheap. So number 1 is shelter and sustenance, food and shelter. Okay. So everybody has to be provided this. Now what does this mean? It means that it's the people's responsibility to make sure everybody has this. Okay. But because this is Islamic law, what are we saying? It's the Muslims' responsibility to make sure everybody in their society has food and shelter. Okay? Meaning for us in Chicago, it's our responsibility to make sure everybody has food and shelter. Okay? The second one was what? Trade and travel. Freedom to trade, freedom to travel. What's the relationship between trade and travel? So for business, if I'm going to earn, I have to be able to travel. Like, why do we all live in Chicago? Because this is where the jobs are. Like, we're not making hijrah to Chicago, right? We're here because this is where the jobs are. Okay? If the jobs are gone in Chicago, we're all going to move away. Okay? So you have to be able to travel, and you have to be able to trade. Okay? And your trade has to be fair. Okay? One of the criticisms that the Prophet, peace be upon him, through the Quran, gave to the Quraysh was they were not trading fairly. Because they were the Quraysh, they were more powerful, they would force people of weaker tribes to pay more than they had to pay. Okay? So trade has to be fair, meaning you get what you pay for. And in America, that's, for the most part, that's something we can rely upon. That if I'm buying something, I'm getting what I pay for, right? Because there's competition. So first one is food and shelter. Second one is trade and travel. Third one, people should feel secure from fear. How do you feel secure? What do you think? When do you feel secure? So if you feel safe on the street, okay. Let me ask you this. How many of you, like when you get home tonight, you're going to lock the door? Probably all of us, right? How many of you lock the door of your car? Probably all of us, okay. Reasonably speaking, do you think anyone's going to steal anything from our cars in this parking lot? No, probably not. Reasonably speaking, depending upon where you live, do you think anyone's going to break into your house tonight? Inshallah, no, right? But why do we lock our door? Just so you feel safe, right? And in case someone comes, they're stopped. Okay? So think about whatever doors you lock. Like suppose you're alone, do you lock the door to your bedroom? Okay? Like no one else is in your house, you know no one's going to be in your house all day. If you're in your bedroom, do you lock the door? No. No. Okay. Some of my students say, yeah, absolutely. Okay. And the question is, how secure do you feel? Okay. So security you can't measure. You can measure if everyone has food, everyone has a home. You can measure if trade is happening, if people can travel. But security is how people feel in their heart. Okay. So the point is that people in society have to feel secure. Fourth thing is protection of religion. The religious practices have to be protected. Okay? Why is that important? Why is it important to protect people's religious practices? Yeah, so they can connect to Allah. And this is not just Muslims. We're saying it's Muslim responsibility to make sure everyone else's religious practices are also protected. Okay.
So the question is here, like you said in Chicago, and if you look at most of these things basically is in the system. Of course, there's a flaw in the system, and flaw not only in the system but in the human psyche also. Mm-hmm. Such as the food stamps, mm-hmm. such as the housing provides housing mm-hmm. to those, mm-hmm. this and that, even health also is mm-hmm. Available to those who don't. But security, same thing. Mm-hmm. We look at how, that's why we feel more.
Yeah, a lot of those things are provided.
Here than in our own countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say a lot of these things are provided if you're above a certain socioeconomic level, right? Like, so most all of us live in the suburbs. We can afford to live in the suburbs. So we have these things automatically provided. But for example, there's this concept of food instability. Okay? So food instability means that someone doesn't know if they're going to have dinner that day. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but they don't know. I think we all can assume that we're probably, inshallah, going to have dinner tonight. Okay? Food instability means you don't know. So in America, 1 out of 4 children are in food instability. Meaning 1 out of 4 children in America don't know if they will have dinner tonight. Okay? So the point is that this is the richest country in the world, but we also have that much hunger, that much poverty.
Because of the flaw in the system.
Yeah, there's something wrong in the system there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Not only system, the people who are, some of them, they're highly abusive.
Yeah, and there's also lots of abuse too. Yeah.
BMW, and they're taking all this food stamps.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's that other problem too. Also, yeah. The other side, another way to think about it is what is the opposite. Okay, so we said society. My responsibility as Muslim, our responsibility as Muslims, to make sure everyone has food and shelter. The opposite is you make it very difficult to have. Okay, so think about how much housing prices have gone up. From 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, now. Income has been going up. Housing prices have skyrocketed. Right? That's a problem. Okay, because especially for people who have less socioeconomic, less wealth, for them it's impossible to own a home. Okay. Trade and travel, this is where we talk about riba. Because what is the idea of riba? Riba is you're taking advantage of somebody. So if someone says, okay, can you give me a loan of $100? One option is, here's $100, you don't give me anything back. Meaning I give you a gift, charity, sadaqah. Another option is, I give you $100, you pay me $100 back. Okay, that's fine. But what if I say, I give you $100, you give me $1,000 back? Okay, that's taking advantage of it. But what if I say, I give you $100, you give me $101 back? What do you think? Is that acceptable? Your thoughts? Majority opinion in the community is no, because that's not acceptable. Some will argue that if it's beneath what you call the consumer price index, like 2%, then it's okay. But majority says, no, $100 means you give me $100 back. Okay. But what am I saying here? If you charge more, that's considered to be unjust. That's taking advantage. That's exploitation. That's not fair trade. Third one, so that's shelter and sustenance, trade and travel. How do you take advantage of, or how do you do injustice in the third category, which is security from fear? How do you do injustice there? If the leader is telling you to be afraid, then the people are all going to be afraid. So if the leader is telling you, okay, people are out to kill us because they hate us for our freedom. Okay. Yeah, you've all heard this. Yeah. Okay. He's taking advantage of fear. He's telling everyone to be afraid. You might get killed any moment. Okay. That's exploitation. Fear-mongering, right? So what we're saying here is that the leader's responsibility is to make you feel safe. If the leader tells you people are trying to kill you, then we're saying in this Islamic outlook, he's taking advantage of you. Okay. He's doing it on purpose. Okay. And the fourth thing, we said you have to protect a religious practice. What is the opposite? You block people from fulfilling their religious practice. Why is justice so... Oh, actually, let me tell you where am I getting this. Anybody know?
Which word?
All these four things that I just said, where is this coming from? It's coming from Surah Quraysh. Okay, Le'ila fi Quraysh, this translation is not very good, so it's basically for the security of the Quraysh. إِيلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ. So security for them as they're traveling in their caravans, summer and winter, or winter and summer. So we have trade and travel. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. So they should turn to Allah. This is the issue of protection of religion. الَّذِي أَطْعَمَهُمْ. He will feed them min ju, in their hunger or against their hunger. وَآمَنَهُمْ مِنْ خَوْفٍ, and give them protection from fear, security from fear. So we're saying all these four categories are coming from Surah Quraysh. Okay? That these are the basic needs of society. Number one, trade and travel, or number one, shelter and food and shelter. Number two, trade and travel. Number three, again from this ayah, security from fear. And number four, religious practice. Okay. This is all coming from Surah Quraysh. But what is the basic goal? Why is it so important for justice in society? The simple answer, number one, this is a command for us. But more than that, when you give people justice in society, it's easy for them to turn to Allah. When you have injustice in society, it's hard for people to turn to Allah. So the example is the Prophet, peace be upon him, that how many people in 13 years of da'wah, how many people became Muslim by the time of Hijrah? How many people were Muslim? 100, maybe 300 maximum, out of 2,000 to 5,000 people. At the time of Fatah Makkah, the conquest of Makkah, how many Muslims were coming with the Prophet, peace be upon him? 10,000. Which means there's probably 10,000 other Muslims, so 20,000 Muslims. Okay. 6 months later, how many Muslims were there? 6 months after Fatah Makkah, 150,000. Okay. First 13 years, only 300 people. Then, at the time of conquest of Makkah, so 10 years later, 20,000. 6 months after that, 150,000. What's the point? Now justice is established. Now people feel secure. Now it's easy to turn to Allah Ta'ala. And everybody started turning to Allah Ta'ala. Okay. We should take a break for Maghrib. I just want to see. I think there's a few more points I want to make here. Sorry. Okay, let's stop here. And there's a few more points to make. And then we're going to talk about wasiyah, wealth, or wills. Okay. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Let's go take a break for Maghrib, inshallah.